He is not only an attorney, a business attorney here in Atlanta, but he also is an entrepreneur himself. Is owner
Positivity.
of Positivity Alcohol. You got it right there.
I do
And he
too.
wants to make sure that his business not only supports our local communities, but also is a business that supports nonprofits. So I'm going to let David tell us a little bit more about his background, and then get into the subject matter of I have a great idea. Now what do I do? David, the floor is yours.
Oh, thanks, Stephen. You know, anytime I can help business owners, I'm all over it because it's not easy. And I'm going to go over why it's not easy, but also too, a lot of starting a business is about education. And most of the fears that people have in businesses, there's things I don't know. I know how to sell my water. I know how to provide services. I know how to cut grass. I just don't know all those other things. And I'm really afraid of the IRS and taxes. And then I'm scared of some lawyer going to call me and sue me. This is common. And so I'll give you my background. I'm actually going live on Facebook because what I'm going to give you is so basic. I want to record it so that people who come to my office can say, oh, I saw your live video, and so I thought I'd call you after that. Because my background is I'm a business attorney that works exclusively with business owners. I help them start their business, buy and sell businesses, raise capital, and generally be their corporate attorney on all corporate matters, right? I help them do all of their contracts. I don't do any bad news law like divorce, criminal, DUI, bankruptcy. So if it's bad news, don't call me or I'm going to refer you to another attorney. Instead, I spent 25 years on the corporate side. I worked at a big law firm. I was president of a venture capital firm. I took a Korean company public in the U.S., a U.S. company public in Germany. I became corporate counsel to a public company. That was all in the first 10 years of my career. And then I started my own practice. I had relatives that was using prepaid legal to start schools. And then I had relatives using criminal attorneys to start massage business. And I really decided that here in Atlanta, with it being an entrepreneurial spirit, this is a great place to open up my own practice and work exclusively with business owners. I've been to court 8 times in 25 years. So I'm here to make deals, take people over into the next category. One of the first things we have to understand about starting a business is what mentality goes into being a business owner. So we're going to spend a little bit talking about the mentality of a business owner, and then we're going to go into operating a business, and then how we grow a business. So we're going to try to do all that in a short amount of time. My hourly rate is $4.49 an hour, and you must start with at least 5,000 retainer. So this is free. So watch this video over and over again. But for people who are sophisticated out there, we're going to get to you at the end of it. I'm going to start off at the kindergarten level, 5-year-old level, and we're going to work our way up to very complicated issues, okay? So I apologize if it comes off as basic at first, but it will get more complicated as I move on. So the mentality of a business owner. You got to realize that there's only 2 to 8% of Americans that make their money solely off business. That means that 92 to 96% of you or 98% of you out there get a W-2 from somebody else besides your own business. I work with that 2 to 8%. Those are my clients. 100% of them are my clients. And I'm actually doing it myself in terms of owning a bottled water business. So I think the first thing is to understand is that me coming at this level is really to take what I consider very sophisticated issues and make them very simple for people start knowing. And I know, listen, I came from Detroit. My dad died of overdose of drugs when I was 9. I had a couple uncles murdered by the time I was 12 or 13. BMF was basically my background music when I was growing up. So if you make it out of that, and there's a path to make it, to take companies public, how could a company in Korea raise $22 million and they haven't sold anything yet? I've seen it all, and I can give you a formula for how to do it. But we first have to recognize who we are as people. Are we in the 2 to 8%, or are we in the 92 to 98%? And so I'm going to give you some identities of the 2 to 8%. There's really 3 main characteristics that these business owners have, my clients. Number 1, I'm going to say it 3 times. Number 1 is revenue, revenue, revenue. Okay, business owners believe in making more money than cutting expenses. You see, if you have a job, you can only, if you want to go on vacation, you got a budget because your revenue is fixed in business world, you got to make more money. My wife is not taking back groceries, right? You got to take all your expenses and say, how do I make more money? Not how do I save expenses? And so revenue is the most important part of your business. We got, 12 to 18 hours per day, all of us, to generate money. Your job takes up more than 8 because you got to turn on your alarm. When your alarm goes off, your job's taking your time. I don't care what you say. You got to take a shower, you got to get and drive your car, etc. So you got to ask yourself, what's the most efficient use of my 12 to 18 hours per day? And for business owners, it starts right away. And the first thing they're waking up is going, how do I make more money? And that's okay, because that's the operation of a business, is to make more money than you're spending, to have profit so you can live. Okay? So you get to design your own day. But you're always thinking about revenue. So number one, get out of your head to save expenses. You're going to have expenses. Just got to make more money. Number two, you have to outsource the things you do not understand. So, for example, if you are good at engineering, don't spend a lot of time doing your own plumbing, right? Because you will be inefficient trying to learn things that you're not good at. So you have to be prepared to say, I can assess a problem. I know I'm good at selling legal services. I know I'm good at bottled water, but I'm not going to spend that time fixing my toilet. So all my business owners essentially are very good outsourcers. They learn how to find the person that does business cards, websites, etc., and hire them so I can go back and make more money. I already know. Dave, you just talking like we got all kind of money to hire everybody. I'm going to get to that later. But you have to have the mentality that my time is more valuable than me learning this. Give yourself about an hour to learn something new. I don't care if it's artificial intelligence. I don't care if it's manufacturing. I don't care if it's business card. If you can't figure it out in an hour, don't be superwoman, superman trying to figure and know everything. It's impossible. Even I don't. I have a billion contractors that work for me. Could I concentrate and do financial statements for the rest of my life? Yes, but I'm not going to. So I hire somebody to do that. And that's an important characteristic of a business owner, is they get that dynamic. The last point is that you have to network with other business owners. Okay? You got to take advice from other business owners, because those are the 2 to 8% that understand the first 2 points. They understand that you need to make revenue. They understand that you might have a problem that you might need a contractor for, and they actually can recommend contractors. They can actually recommend people you can hire, attorneys, accountants, but they get your struggle. They get that when you woke up this morning and your phone went off, you were automatically generating revenue. So that's the 3 main characteristics of a business owner and their mentality. And if all of you on here are like, hey, I'm past that, I've quit my job. Now, I'm not saying you should quit your job. I'm saying that there's no such thing as a part-time business mogul. At some point, you will need to give your job that whole 12 to 6, your business that whole 12 to 18 hours per day. Doing it at lunch, doing it after work, and on the weekends. It's going to exist, but it's not going to be sustainable going forward. It's going to, at some point, you will have to trust your education, trust your service or product that you're offering, and trust that you can make more and spend less in business, and that difference can be more than your salary at work. I can't tell you how for your individual business. I can just tell you that me and my business owners have done it. So there's people who do it, and all of the differences between people who don't do it and the people who do it is education. The more you feel about something, the better you feel about it. An elevator, if you were a baby and walked into the elevator, you just went inside and the door shut and you opened it up and it was a whole new world. Like, what is this? That's a little bit about business. You don't see your elevator going up and down the floors. You trust the engineering. You trust that you put in the work. You trust that people have, done their job. So when you push the 8th floor and it opens, you're not surprised you're there. That's a little bit like business. If you put in the infrastructure and you do everything correctly, you can book a vacation. You can plan things in the future, but the immediate fear makes you feel like you can't do it, and it's overwhelming. So I'm here to educate you so you can feel like this isn't overwhelming for me. That's the first part. The second point, now we have a business, right? And we'll use my bottled water company because I like free promotion and it's an applicable thing. You have an idea. You want to sell a service or a product, and you want to transition out from your job, and ultimately, hey, Shirley, hey, positivity. I like it. Somebody got the memo. New to the assignment. Excellent. So the first thing you have when you have a product or service is you probably tried to sell it to somebody already. Another one. Oh man, we should be in Walmart in no time now. The first thing that happens when you have a product or service is you probably tried to sell it. Cookies at work, did somebody's lawn work for a weekend. They paid you for the church, whatever. And you've seen that money has come in from another direction besides your job, and it has intrigued you. And you ultimately come to where you want to get in front of Dave Walker and get this business going because I'm so excited. But I'm going to caution you that you need to understand that there are people out here feeding their families with whatever you just did for $1 or $5, even $100. And I'm talking feeding their families well. So you must respect the game that you're coming into and always start from the front door. Don't walk into any business ever going, I already knew that, because you will get eaten alive. There are grown people with grown attorneys and grown accountants who are out here feeding multiple families with multiple employees in some business you just decided to goof off in. So therefore, you have to be aware of who the competitors are and how people are doing in your business and become knowledgeable. Go to trade shows, okay? Every business has some sort of trade show where the vendors meet, the people meet, and start talking to people. Most of them will help you. Other business owners, hey, I'm thinking about getting into the bottled water business. How does this work? Before I got into the bottled water business, I spent a lot of time at the International Bottled Water Association, getting to know other business owners and talking to them about plants and saying, hey, if I wanted to build my own plant one day, how would I do this? So use education, seminars like this, use them to their fullest while you're working because your clock hasn't started. You haven't opened up a business bank account. And you haven't started the IRS on your back looking at your money. So get as much education about your industry from the people in the industry. Don't take it from your cousin who knew somebody who worked in the business. That's not helpful. Go to the people who actually are feeding their families off the business, and they will tell you. They sometimes tell you too much when you go back to work. But spending time with those people, looking at the stress, look at their lifestyle. Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they depressed? They'll tell you when they licked the salt of the earth and what went wrong. They'll also tell you what went right. And they'll tell you if they had to do it all over again, how they do it differently. Because they know it's a struggle. And they know most people are going to go back to work after they hear their story. But spend time around those people. Now, you've done that. You're ready to go. How do I actually get into business? Well, a business is a lot like a real human. It can actually do everything a person can do except vote. But it has to be treated separately. When you have an idea, it's just you and the idea. You're all one person to the world. You're one person to the government. You're one person to everything. So the first thing we have to do is pull the idea out of your brain and put it on paper. So how do we do that? Well, in the States, United States of America, we really value capitalism and entrepreneurship. And so each of the states have said to the business owners, if you create a business, we'll give you protections from lawsuits. And we'll make sure that this business is treated separately from you. And it can do everything you can do except vote. But you have to give us certain information. So to make sure that the state recognizes your business, they have you file documents with them telling them a little bit about your business. This would be called the Articles of Organization or the Articles of Incorporation. These are the documents you file in your respective state to acknowledge your business and create your business as a separate person. Think of it as the birth certificate of a new person. So once you get the birth certificate, you then have to tell the IRS. The IRS says, look, I don't care about your protection and you people suing you. I need to know how much money you're going to make and how you're going to pay me. And you have a choice, a menu of choices to make with the IRS about based upon your business, whether you sell products, services, whatever you do, you have a lot of options for how the IRS is going to get their share of it. They don't tell you how they're doing it. This is what a CPA does, is help you pick the right menu item. Hey, you should be this. And an attorney helps you pick the right liability item at your state. Hey, you should be an LLC or a corporation. Once you get your birth certificate, which is your articles from the state, and then once you get what's essentially your social security number, or also called EIN from the IRS, those two things allow you to open up a bank account. Once you open up a bank account, the bank is going to require your articles. They're going to actually look it up because it's public information. So if you don't want personal information out there, don't put it in your articles. So you might want to talk to an attorney about what you're going to put in your application for that document. But they will want to see that document online, and they want you to know that you're established with the IRS with your EIN. They will give you a bank account. They do not give you money. in that bank account. In fact, they ask you for $100, okay? And they give them $100, and they put the $100 in the business bank account, and they go, good luck. And you go running out of the bank, right? You go running out. Oh, I got my articles. I got my EIN. I got $100 in my account. You just got a baby with no clothes, no food, no shelter. It's just sitting there in the wide open doing nothing. Some people just let it sit there for a while. That's called a shell. A shell is when you have a business set up, but nothing's happening in it. There's nobody selling anything. It's just sitting there. And some people let it sit there forever and I just have it there in case I want to do something one day. I actually recommend everybody having some LLC, right? Everybody on my staff has an LLC. I just recommend it's good because you never know where the next business opportunity is going to come from. And it's always good to have an entity that you can at least start from. We'll talk about how you can spin things out later. But that's essentially a business. You now sell your products out of it. And now when people pay you, you put it in the business bank account. When you have expenses, you expense it out the business bank account. So the business has a debit card. And when you go to Walmart for supplies, you swipe the business debit card. When they get to your toilet paper for your home, you put your little plastic thing out and you break it off there. And then you say, okay, this stuff is for my personal credit card. Okay, Dave, why do I have to think about that? Because the IRS says for this to be a legitimate baby, you're going to have to treat it like a person, and you cannot spend your personal stuff on the baby's account. Your personal stuff go in your personal account. So if you need to take money out of your business, you transfer it from the business account into the personal account. And then the personal account, you swipe your debit. If you have some business expenses that you can benefit from personally, like cars or other things, then that's allowable business expense, even if you use it personally. Your accountant can go through and tell you based upon your menu selection with the IRS which things that you can deduct that you might be thinking it's personal because you use it so much, but you're using it for the business. If you have to get a tie, you work at a funeral home, and you get a nice suit, that's expensive. I mean, that's expense as a business expense, even though you like it and it's a nice looking suit. So it's important that you actually recognize all the expenses that's allowable to your business by having a CPA. Outsourcing. Okay, so we got our LLC formed or our corporation formed at the state. We got our EIN number. We got our business bank account. Now, Dave, I have this idea. Did all that. That's easy. That's for people who, just getting started. But I'm actually moving and shaking. I've actually had a few months or even a year of transactions and tax. And I've filed a tax return even for the business. But I'm looking to grow and get bigger. And if you're in that stage right now, I guarantee you, number one thing on your mind is money. Okay? Money. You're like, yeah, Dave. I can't quit my job until I got more money. I can't hire people until I got more money. So I'm in this conundrum, man. I spend a lot of time thinking about revenue. I spend a lot of time outsourcing. I spend a lot of time, with other business owners. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to need some money. All right. So this is where most of the value of business attorney that I provide come in. And that is to understand that any growth in the business is going to happen two ways, either by acquisition, you buy another business, or organically, you sell more products. And if you are in this position where you either want to buy another business or sell more products and move from this level and jump a level, you are going to need money for the difference. So the question is, how do I get that money? Every business owner has that question. Some people think it's grants. Some people think it's loans. Some people think it's angel investors, venture capitals, take it public. They have all these wild ideas about how to get that money. But I'm going to show you how. You have to answer 4 questions. And if you don't write anything else down today, write these 4 questions and then try to write the 4 answers to them. If you write the 4 questions and write the 4 answers, you can find the money that you need to go to the next level. First question. What do you do? Right? Write that down. Second question is, why are you good at it? Okay? Write that down. Third question, how much money do you need? Right? Write that down. And number 4, what does the investor get for the money? Write that down. Go through these 4, but I want to give you a pretext for what investors think. And when I talk investors, I'm talking the next person you shake hands with in your life. Everybody's a potential investor, even yourself. We're all trying to figure out how we can take our money and our savings and make more money without us actually doing the work. All of us are trying that. We're all doing it. And if you see an opportunity, not someone has supply and demand, and you see you can buy it low and sell it high, you would jump on it. But being an investor and trying to attract investors is the same thing. But you just forget. You forget what it's like to be an investor when you're trying to sell your business, because it all comes intuitive to you. Of course I'm good at it. Of course I know what I'm doing. Of course I know how much money I need. Of course I can give the investor payment. But for the person hearing it, it sounds like, well, what is it? Like, hurry up, I got to go. So I help business owners think through those questions. Okay, so the first two questions are easy. They're so easy, I'm not going to address them. You ought to know what you do, and you ought to be able to talk very clearly about why you're good at it. So I'm going to jump to number 3. How much money do you need? When my business owners talk about this and we all get to it, and I ask them how much money do they need, they all give me the same answer. And the answer always starts with the same 2 syllables. About $25,000, about $50,000, about $100,000. They don't know how bad that sounds to an investor. It sounds terrible. It sounds like you don't know what you're doing. But if you say, oh, I need $47,638 because I'm going to spend $25,643 this month on a machine, on a chiller, on a compressor that I have to get 2 employees. Their payroll setup is $2,000 a month, and then I'm going to lose $4,000 a month for 6 months before I turn a profit. I would invest in $47,000 guy. I'm not investing in About guy, because About guy wants you to give you money so you can think about it. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Imagine we went to dinner with Warren Buffett tonight, and I said, I want to introduce you to Warren Buffett, and he's going to hear your pitch, and you tell him what you're good at and all about your business, and you say, I need about $50,000, Warren Buffett. And he goes, okay, today is February 3rd. Tomorrow morning, February 4th, your LLC account is going to have $50,100 in it. Like, oh, what? Like, yeah, it's going to have $50,100, and you wake up and you press that F5 button and refresh, and your business LLC says $50,100, and you're sitting there. And then I say, okay, now what are you going to do tomorrow? Tomorrow's Saturday, right? What are you doing? Well, I'm going to go find a person that does a machine. Okay. Then I got to find somebody to hire to do my design. Okay. And then I need a location. Okay. So what I'm going to say is that Mr. Buffett is taking his money back. Because you just want money in the account to go do work you should have done before the money hit your account. You got to go out like Santa Claus and build a real Christmas list about how much money you need. And stop being embarrassed by how much money it turns out to be. It might be $89,700 when you actually look at it, when you actually called the location, when you actually looked at the average salaries of the person you're going to hire, when you actually looked at the cost of the vehicle. Go into those places and get quotes. Get a quote for an attorney. Get a quote for an accountant. And start adding it up to get you the real number. And if the real number is way higher than you thought, oh well, Mr. Buffett, in order for us to get profitability, I need $89,674. That is what it is. Don't be embarrassed by it. Be thoughtful for it. Show your homework. Show the investor that with or without your money, it's going to happen. If I told you the $47,000 guy was going to get his money, you all would go, yeah, he is. Because you feel like it's going to happen because they've thought it through. They're prepared. They've gone out and done their research and prepared to give you an actual number. This question about how much money you need is one of the hardest questions of these 4 because it requires a tremendous amount of work. Not just how much money you need tomorrow for Mr. Buffett on Saturday, but how much you need until you get to the next point of needing more money. So either you're going to use this money to get to profitability. Okay, well, how long is that going to take? 6 months, 12 months? So you might have to pay yourself a salary 12 months before you become profitable. That's okay. As long as your salary is not $190,000 and it's something reasonable and something you can back up with your mortgage. Like, look, Mr. Buffett, I want to work full time, but I got to feed my family, and I could probably get $10,000 a month, but I'm going to make it work on or 6 or 7. So in my budget here, I put me making 6 or 7, and I can give you all my mortgage statements and my kids' tuition and everything, so you know that this is legit. But I got to take a salary so I can give my 12 to 18 hours on this business to make us money. That's what they want to hear. Stop hiding that you need money to make your business run, because we know it. Mr. Buffett ain't coming down to run your business. He's not coming to sell no bottled water. So tell him, hey, I need space so that I can grow my business, and that's part of this money that I need. And be straightforward. So figuring out how much money you need is a skill. Talk to your CPA. Again, they help, because you go, okay, if I were going to do this business, what kind of expenses do I typically need? Well, it turns out you might need insurance. Go get an insurance quote. Right? Turns out you might need a license. Go look at what the license application fee is. Do as much homework as you can. And then you will find when somebody asks you how much money, your mind will drift off into like la la land of like, oh, I need this, 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 and this. And then they'll see that. Like, wow, this person is really honed in. But don't go out and go, but what if I don't get the money? If you don't get the money, go to work. So just keep going, take your list and go check off your list of things you need. And don't be shy. It's imaginary money. It's monopoly money. Just ask everybody how much everything costs. I'll give you a 15-minute consultation to tell you how much something costs. People don't have any problem giving you how much something costs. I promise you. So anybody you think is essential to your business for you to grow to the next level, find out what they cost and put it on your list. And when you talk to investors, tell them how much money you need. All right. Enough about that. The last question. What do investors get for it? Suppose you know your numbers, 50,000. The question is, all right, Dave, I know it's 50. I know we could really use this money to become profitable in the next six months. I calculated out. This is the number. What should I do? Well, there's two ways you can pay back an investor. You can borrow it and say, hey, Mr. Buffett, 50,000. I did my projections. I should turn a profit next year. I can pay you back in 2 years. And when you say pay you back on the borrow, you can tell them I can pay you monthly installments like my car note or house note, or I can pay you interest only, or I can pay you nothing, and then I'll show you how I can pay you a lump sum in 2 years. The general rule, and again, it depends on talking to your attorney and your accountant, is that if you can do it less than 2 years, then try to borrow it. So same thing. If you went and borrowed $20 from somebody and they say, oh, when am I going to get it back? And they say, well, you get it back next Friday. They say, okay, here, pull it out their pocket. If you borrow $20 and they say, well, I'm going to get it back, and you say 2027, they're like, man, it better be more than $20. Like, I just gave you $20. So you got to know when you're going to make enough money for the person to get their money back. Now, most of us can't do loans. If you could, you go to a bank. If you could, you'd be able to go to some of the higher level investors. So you're probably going to have to offer a piece of your company for the money. And that's actually easier than it sounds. It happens on Shark Tank in the first 5 minutes. You just got to determine what the value of your company is. If my company is worth $500,000, then Mr. Buffett's $50,000 is only worth 10%. Mr. Buffett, I'm giving you 10% of the company for $500,000. If my company is worth $50,000 and he's putting in $50,000, he's going to ask for half. Why? Because your company's only worth $50,000. So the true skill in raising capital with investor is figuring out how much your company is worth. Why do I say it's a skill? Because it's not an exact science. It's what you can convince that person that's across the screen, across the table, who you shook hands with. But you need to know it going in hand and not let them tell you. Don't ever say to an investor, I'll give you what you want. Terrible answer. Because number one, even if they believe that, they think you're doing that to everybody. You know, like, you just give everybody what they want. Just like Kroger don't tell you what you think you should pay for eggs. You don't go, oh, Kroger, I was looking at this aisle and I want to get these eggs. They're like, well, how much you want to pay? We can do whatever. You're like, well, I'll pay $1. Like Kroger, like, all right, give me the $1. No, they tell you, this is going to be $4.37. You walk to the register. What if I give you $4? No, put the eggs back. Same thing with your business. Know your price and be certain on your price. This is what Shark Tank is. Shark Tank answers those first 4 questions when they walk out. Hello, my name is Dave Walker. I'm selling Positivity Water that has tripled its revenue in the last 3 years. I'm looking for $50,000 for a 10% stake in my company. They just answered the first 4 questions in 2 sentences. The rest of the show is about sharks arguing about their valuation, because when you first tell me $50,000 for 10%, I've done this so many times, I immediately know you're saying your company's worth $500,000 just by doing the math. And if I know your company's worth 500,000, I'm going to start to pepper you. Do you do this full time? Do you have a patent? What kind of contracts do you have? How long have you been doing it? That's the rest of Shark Tank, is people agreeing to the valuation. And if people do two things, right? They either get the price you gave them, or they try to tell you they want to do it at a lesser price. You can change your valuation, but never change the amount of money you're asking for. So if you go on at 50 and they go, look, 50 for 10, I'll give you 100 for 20. You should be like, hell no. Like, I have done my math around 50. So you can keep that. I'm giving 10. This 10 is what I'm ready for. I haven't done the plan for 100. They think they're doing you a favor. And the other sharks will look if you bite that. If you like, that sounds good. The other ones be like, I'm out. You don't really need 50. You don't know what you need. I'm out. And they're like, why you out? Why you out? I don't need 50. You don't know. You're unsure. Stick with the number you need, because that doesn't change. Now you go, look, if you want to do more than 50, we got to go up to about 500,000, and I can give you 20 for that, because we got to scale to a whole nother level to take more than 50. Like, no, let's get back to 50 for 10. Like, okay, that's what I thought. So real life investing is a lot like Shark Tank. If you have these 4 questions down pat, and you talk to your mom, your aunt, your sister, your uncle, and have them both verbally answered, and then here's what's going to kill y'all. You got to have it in writing, okay? So all the stuff you felt good about, that you had these questions answered, if they're not in writing, it ain't nothing. Because Warren Buffett going to say, man, I love it. A bottled water company, $50,000, 10%, go home, talk to his wife, talk to his accountant, talk to his lawyer. Hey, I got a deal. What's the deal? I think I'm going to put in like 500,000 for like this juice company. They going to mess it all up. You know what the wife, the attorney, and the accountant's going to say? Nah, bro, don't do that. That doesn't sound like a good investment, man. But if you had it in writing, and they're reading what you said, they're reading that you said it was a bottled water company, that it tripled in revenue, that it, was giving 10% for $50,000, they can nod their head. And if you as an investor know what it feels like to have your spouse and advisors nod their head, if they nod, even if they don't agree with it, you can deal with that. Like, but I don't like bottled water. I don't like it. I like juice. Like, well, that's fine. I like this opportunity, though. The business is fine. Yeah, the business is fine. But, what are you going to do in water? Business owners can make that decision. They can't make the decision where they're like, man, this valuation is $50 million. Or, man, this person doesn't even know what kind of securities they want to offer. They don't know if it's a note or whatever. They don't have an attorney. They don't have a CPA. These are all things that you do not want to walk into Warren Buffett to talk about. You want to practice with your brothers and sisters and cousins and get it right with them. And with people like Steven, go, hey, let me run this by you real quick. Let me send you this over real quick. If you send a business plan and you're not telling people in the front page of the business plan how much money you need and what they're going to get for it, it is a waste of everyone's time. When people send me a business plan, 90% of them don't tell me how much money they need and what are they getting for it. I'm like, why you send me this? Well, I just wanted you to see the business. But you told me the business on the phone. You need money? Tell me how much. Tell me what I'm getting for it. You will find that whether you're in a pitch competition, talking to investors, talking to friends and relatives, if you get those 4 points down, both verbally and written, you'll be a lot more successful in raising that money to grow your business. So I'm business attorney Dave Walker.